This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
The Chida in the Machzik Bracha brings a dream that the Chazai Nachum had. And in this dream, the Chazai Nachum is facing the great Chacham, the Chacham HaShalem, Rabbi Yitzchak Zerachia Azulai, who is none other than the father of the Chida. And the Chazai Nachum presents the father of the Chida with the following question. When Yitzchak emerged unscathed from the Akeida, did he bench Gomel or did he not bench Gomel? Says the Chida that his father did not respond anything in the dream, but b'hakitz, in the state of awakeness, he responded to the Chazai Nachum, and he passed in this way, that Yitzchak did not have to bench Gomel, even though he was saved from certain death, but since it was done b'mitzvah Hashem Yisbarach, to mekayim the mitzvah Hashem, you don't bench Gomel. Now, interestingly, in the Machzik Bracha, the Chida declares a number of very similar shaylas. Chida wants to know, did Avram Avinu bench Gomel when he emerged from Or Kasdim? Did Moshe Rabbeinu bench Gomel when he came down from Shamayim and was saved from the Malachim who tried to harm him? When the Kohen Gadol emerged from the Kodesh HaKadoshim, does the Kohen Gadol bench Gomel? When Rabbi Akiva came out b'shalom from the Pardes in Chagiga Yudal Amabez, did Rabbi Akiva bench Gomel? Now, Kishani La'atzmi, I would personally ask that in those cases, maybe you could make the case that you could bench Gomel. For example, when Avram Avinu was thrown into a fire, because normally when you jump into a fire, the fire should harm you, so if Avram Avinu emerged unscathed, he should have benched Gomel. Or perhaps when the Kohen Gadol came out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which was a dangerous place, where many people did not survive. There were over 300 Kohanim Gedolim in the Bayis Sheni, and the Bayis Sheni only stood 420 years. So perhaps you can make the case that you should bench Gomel. But why would Yitzchak bench Gomel? If somebody, one of the most common cases that people ask about is they were driving in a car and another car was coming toward them, and at the last second that car swerved and missed them. Do you bench Gomel? The answer is of course not. Of course not. You know, they say humorously that if somebody hangs up their laundry to dry and the laundry falls down, do you have to bench Gomel? Because if you would have been in the laundry hanging on the clothesline, you would have gotten hurt. Of course you don't bench Gomel. You don't bench Gomel when nothing happens. You bench Gomel only when you're in a matzav that situation, something happened, and even so you emerged unscathed. In other words, if somebody gets into the accident and they emerge unscathed, then one would bench Gomel. But if one averts the oncoming car entirely, one does not bench Gomel. So what is the Chida's what is this shaila that the Chazai Nachum asked the Chida's father? Did Yitzchak bench Gomel? Avram Avinu didn't do anything to Yitzchak. At the last moment, the Malach called out from Shamayim, "Don't al tishlach yadcha el anar." However, perhaps we could say that if you look in the Pirkei Rabbi Elazar in Perek Lamed, and this is brought in the Shibalei Alek and other midrashim, that in fact, when Avraham Avinu lifted up the knife to kill Yitzchak, that itself was so shocking to Yitzchak. Yitzchak actually died from the experience, and he came back to life. Now, some say he didn't bench Gomel because he made a different bracha. Look in Pirkei Rabbi Elazar, look in the Yakut Shemaini, look in the Shibalei Halekat. When Yitzchak awoke after being revivified, he made the bracha, Baruch Atah Hashem Mechaye Amesim. But aside from that angle, that the bracha that Yitzchak made was Mechaye Amesim, we're trying to explain that the shaila, perhaps why it would be appropriate to bench Gomel, Yitzchak in fact was in a matzav that was a life-threatening matzav, not only because what could have happened, but actually it reached a point where even though perhaps the knife did not touch the neck of Yitzchak, but it was such a frightening experience, in fact, he did die. The lashon of one of the midrashim is that Yitzchak's ashes, Yitzchak turned to ash, and his ashes were strewn across Har HaMoriah. Now, in the Sefer Me'in Beis HaShoeva, Rav Schwab has an interpretation of this, but the simple interpretation is Yitzchak did not only avert a potentially life-threatening situation, but he actually experienced it to the extent where it was Parcha Nishmasai. And in that case, that is why it is raised that perhaps Yitzchak should have made Berchas HaGomel. And the answer the father of the Chida gave why he didn't bench Gomel was because ultimately this was made Be'ratzain of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and in such a case, one does not bench Gomel. Wishing everyone a great day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.